Uh,
Guardian. I woke up this morning and looked out across the grey mists of Trustland, and I've got to tell you, my heart just wasn't in it. I didn't want justice or revenge. It wouldn't bring her back. I felt tired. I didn't want to fight anymore. But then, out in the distance, I spotted a deployment of Shadow Legion moving through the fog, pushing a group of prisoners before them. It's not about me. It's about them. So I picked up my rifle, and I got to work. We've got to fight on. Not just because we're in the Vanguard, or Queen's Guard, or because we're heroes, or all that rot. Because it's what Amanda would have done. And that's good enough for me.
Uh,
Everybody hates Diablo 4. Uh-oh. 17 damage. Where's the picture? 17. Hurricane does 17 damage. 17? Happiest Druid. Alright, let's watch this. Here we go.
Today's video is sponsored by Ridge. They've currently got an anniversary sale taking place. If you head over to ridge.com/force from now until March 26, you can save up to 40% on any purchase. Stay tuned for later in the video to learn more. With the Diablo 4 pre-order beta taking place last weekend, we've started to see a slew of early impressions and reviews, many of which coming from seasoned members of the ARPG community who had some major criticisms for the game. And what seemed to be the largest, most common complaints boiled down to a repetitive dungeon structure, poor itemization, the game's use of level and power scaling, and just an overall lack of innovation and or complexity in Diablo 4. Now I've watched...
I think the lack of complexity is just simply because people are comparing it to an end game of like PoE. I feel like with the Paragon system, with the legendaries, with the class affixes, or like that, you know, the enchantments or the arsenal with Barbarian, I feel like it's going to be complex enough. And I think that it's not supposed to be really complex. They don't want it to be as complex as PoE because people already have PoE.
And read tons of this coverage over the past week with videos from some really great creators, like people whose opinion I highly respect and value. Kriparian put out an hour-long epic of a review. This dude is just great. He was a Diablo 3 extraordinaire, holding the world's first and only pre-nerf hardcore Diablo Inferno clear, which was quite a spectacle back then and is still impressive to this day. Plus, he's just a chill dude, like really nice from my interactions. A pleasure to speak with. Ziggy D, who I remember first meeting back in the StarCraft 2 days. Later,
this guy's a really big PoE guy. He is really into PoE. He's been making guides for PoE and stuff for years.
Transitioned into more variety and being like a full-on ARPG guide. Tons of Path of Exile in particular, making guides and such. He put out a really nice, concise critique of Diablo 4. Mr. Llama SC, who is a big figure in the Diablo 2 scene, well known for speedrunning and just really liking Diablo 2. He like lives and breathes this game. He had plenty to say.
Like I think, didn't he get his wife to come and watch him ID Tyrael's Might or something like that? Was that him? I feel like it was something like that. Yeah? His girlfriend.
About D4 on behalf of that community. And then there's Asmongold, a man who has earned every ounce of his nerd cred. When it comes to no life in games, he has put in the time, or as the kids would say, he's a real one. Each of these people are very articulate, informed, and presented some well thought out critiques and arguments for why various aspects of the current build of Diablo 4 are a bit lackluster and in need of improvement, much of which I generally agree with. The procedural dungeon system has resulted in a fairly predictable and repetitive structure.
I agree with almost everybody's criticisms as well, minus like a handful of them. I just think that some of them will be solved by the game coming out fully, and others will not. But I think some of the worst ones will be solved by the game coming out early, or the game coming out completely.
After so many runs, the layout becomes pretty clear. You move through some winding paths and or hallways until you reach a locked door or mechanism, and then you must complete one of a handful of different objectives to unlock said door, either killing enemies or retrieving keys or other objects. You do that, the door opens, you fight the boss. Now, dungeons are meant to be analogous to Diablo 3's Rifts, and to that degree, I do feel like dungeons are more interesting than what Rifts were, but that doesn't mean the system is perfect. I think some improvements can be made. Itemization is a bit simple, and to some, may be uninteresting.
Itemization being simple, I think, will be a problem that solves itself whenever the game fully comes out and you have gear that has 5 affixes. And I don't think itemization needs to be incredibly complex on release either.
Interesting as of level
because
20.
like most people, like, you got to keep in mind, nobody here has even seen a 5 affix item. We're only looking at mainly 3, and only legendaries have 4 affixes.
5 legendary
And
item
bigger
drops
rolls,
might
yeah.
make you stronger,
With,
but
like, more
are never particularly
tiers
exciting
of,
to get as of level 25.
level points.
And enemy scaling
skill-
with your
skill
level
levels.
really does diminish the sense of power progression. In many instances, as you level up, you feel like you're getting weaker. Combine that with the shared world, where you run into these odd situations where someone half your level might be killing enemies faster than you are because of how the power
Because
scaling
of the class you're playing. You're playing a druid and they're playing something else.
done. There's also a slew of other complaints that I've seen frequently mentioned, like the world boss had fairly limited mechanics. He just really doesn't do a lot of things.
I think the world boss is very, like, I don't like how it can nearly off-screen you with its arm slash. I think that's shit, and I think the indicator that you're taking damage after you get hit by it is also shit. However, I think other than that, that's a very easy fix, by the way.
Or maybe it wasn't counting
I think the world boss is incredibly well designed. I think all of its attacks are good. They're easy to see. They're easy to avoid. After doing it, like, you can play it a few times, you'll understand it, you'll have mastery over it. This is a level 25 world boss. World bosses are throwaway world content that is not challenging. You compare this to Moke, you compare this to Thunder Wings, you compare this to whatever I don't know the Rowan world boss, I forgot his fucking name. You compare it to Koronor or Orion in Lost Ark, all of those bosses. They're all a joke, they're all easy, they're all basically just free content.
Balance is all over the place as of level 25. The UI's overall look and design, some people have issues with. I also saw complaints about the font coming up in some reviews. You know,
I think that's ridiculous. The font's totally fine. It's very easily legible. Yes, obviously they could go with a more demonic font, but that would make it would make it harder to read. The font is totally fucking fine.
Well, I mean, I know font theory is a thing. Like, some fonts are more readable and better than others. But also, I don't give a flying fuck. Generally, though, I do think most of these critiques are fair and accurate, and I would agree that these are some of the more glaring issues with Diablo 4. But at the same time, I wonder if much of it matters at all to a majority of players, which I think
that for a lot of people, this beta has been a positive. Most people have seen this beta and become more excited about the game than before.
Answer is no.
Which, by the way, is like super fucking rare. So the game comes out in beta, and people actually are excited about it.
Considered to be the most important core elements of the game, D4 does seem to get right. It looks great, it feels great, and I have a fun time while I'm playing. Like, I really enjoyed the preview last fall. Last weekend's beta was a blast, and I can't wait to jump back in and wait in the queue with everyone else in the world this upcoming weekend. Blizzard doesn't appear to be breaking any molds here or treading much new ground, although the inclusion of an open shared world.
I'm not sure whether they're breaking any molds or anything until we really see the end game. Because, like, Act 1 of an ARPG, how transformative do you even want it to be? I feel like it's fine. Yeah, you don't always have to you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just make a really, really good wheel. And it seems like Diablo 4 is a good wheel. I do want to see more innovation. Absolutely. I'm not saying innovation doesn't matter.
It's hard to be in the farm. with the sun shining down and the fresh air.
Grief clouds our emotions, but it must not cloud our judgment. Many are relying on us. The Shadow Legion are empty shells animated by a will of darkness. Free them from their bondage to the Witness as you free the prisoners from their shackles.
It does. However, we're going to have to wait till in-game to really be able to see that.
In an ARPG is something I really enjoy as an MMO fan, but it also doesn't feel revolutionary. And the more important thing is the long-term progression, the hook that's going to keep you coming back time and time again. And that we just kind of have to wait and see until we can get past Act 1 and level 25. In general, it looks like Blizzard is just kind of taking some of what works best in the genre, giving it a Diablo twist, fine-tuning parts, adding a bit of gameplay polish, and creating a product aimed at the mass market. Or in other words, they're doing exactly what they've done with most of their games for the past 20.
Yeah, because the truth is, he's right. That's exactly what they did with World of Warcraft. And there were a couple of points of innovation with WoW, absolutely, that set it aside from like EverQuest. Like, for example, WoW didn't have loading screens, and there wasn't a big punishment on death in WoW compared to older MMOs, like just two examples. But overall, yeah, it wasn't a completely new experience. Overwatch, yeah, Overwatch 2, a lot of what we saw in Overwatch 2, like, yes, there's some innovation with that, but a lot of it was in Team Fortress 2 as well.
Years. In the fall of 2004, when World of Warcraft was about to launch, I remember being unimaginably hyped, just like out of my mind excited. The idea that Blizzard, a company whose games I grew up loving, was making an MMO in the world of Warcraft with its setting, its history, lore, and characters all fully realized, letting us seamlessly explore Azeroth, the lands of the orcs, humans, night elves, and undead. Like, to me, all of this just sounded too good to be true. I was a freshman in college at the time the pre-release beta took place, and I didn't get in, but one of my dorm mates did, and I remember just sitting there all day watching him play. He was an undead mage, leveling through Tristfall, just spamming frostbolts at skeletons, zombies, plague hounds, and dustbats, seeing the other players running around, being in the Warcraft universe. Like, it was just so cool. I was so excited. My dorm mates were excited. All my friends.
Yeah, everybody was fucking hyped, man. Like, I remember whenever I got the game, like, I didn't get it till like later on, but like we would like, everybody would have like their own character on like my account, and then we would take time like playing, like Zach and I, like he would play for an hour, then I would watch him play for an hour. And then I would play for an hour, and he'd watch me play for an hour. And like we did this over and over and over. And like Cody and Jeff did the same thing, where like, you know, Cody would play for a while, then Jeff would play. And it's like I did the same thing with my mom too. It's like she would play on my account, and then I was like, I ain't playing on my fucking account. I gotta do something important. Okay, I gotta run Scarlet Monastery. She said, fuck that. I'm buying my own account. And then she got into the game.
From back home are excited.
Yeah.
We could not wait to play this brand new Blizzard game. So I went online looking forward to learning more and talking about WoW, and everyone hated it. Like, everyone hated WoW. At least that's how it seemed online. The world of
a lot of people were really critical about WoW. The two reasons why people were super critical about the game is, number one, they felt like it was a watered down version of an MMO. Like it was an MMO for babies and casuals and losers. Or like babies,
We've all died countless deaths. But we still only feel loss from the outside in. Holiday. She died doing what was necessary to protect the people of the city. She didn't do it out of obligation or circumstance. She knew it had to be done.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
She had one life, and she used it to save us. She set an example for us all. I don't know what else to say. Amanda. I would give my last life, if it would bring her back. I've begged before. It's a false hope. A lie. At every loss, the traveler is silent. Each path I take leads me to a grave. Cayde. Sophia. Hakim.
And yours next?
I failed them all. I love you, Amanda. I'm so proud of you. Forgive me.
One cannot hear Zavala's words and remain unmoved. That man has borne suffering enough for many lifetimes. That is the price we pay for opening our hearts. And as the voice in the darkness extends its reach, we know only that few will finish this journey with us, for the path is long. As the nebulae whirl and billow above us, we remain. We endure. This is our privilege, our duty, and our curse. Take heart, Guardian. Know that we will endure together. Crow.
What do you want?
I wish to speak with you.
I don't have time for this. Or for you.
We've all lost someone dear to us.
If you mean me, you don't show it.
I wanted to, but I held my heart so closely that I smothered it. I don't want to see you do the same.
You don't know me. Stop talking like you do.
I know how we grieve. It is raw and violent. I know we believe that keeping others away from it will protect them. But we don't do it to protect them. We do it to protect ourselves. We do it because it is easy.
Nothing about this is easy. You didn't know her.
Then tell me who she was.
She was a sunrise.
Grieve its setting, but do not turn your grief to armor. Let us bear you through it.
I'll try.
I know you will.
casuals and kids with ADHD. And the other reason was because it cost $15 a month. That was the reason, like, because Blizzard was like this really big company, and so like EverQuest didn't have that same splash that World of Warcraft did, because like the people that made EverQuest weren't as big or as popular as Blizzard, right? It's just how it is. So whenever WoW came out and it said $15, like $15 back in 2004, by the way, like here, let me just go ahead and just do a little bit of math here. Inflation calculator per year. Let's see. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. Okay, I can't click a number on this. Okay, here we go. Number is going to be $15, and this is going to be in January of 2004. Actually, let's just it was in November. This is the same buying power in February. $23. And that's just what this website says. So obviously it would be different. So $23. So imagine if you had to spend $23 a month nowadays. People would absolutely bring that up. Yeah, and also there was a box cost. And then there was an expansion cost on top of that whenever the expansion came out in 2007. So yeah, it was around $12 to $13 back then, not 15. No, it was $15. It might have been different maybe in your country, but in the US it was 50. It's always been $15.
Warcraft, they said, was just a piss poor excuse of an MMO, a game for babies. The world and character design looked like a Sunday morning cartoon. The game was incredibly casual. Character death doesn't result in losing experience or gear.
Exactly.
Excuse me?
I was there.
What is this? Dungeons were instanced, meaning that rival players and guilds couldn't fight you and contest boss kills. It seemed like existing fans of the MMO genre at the time were largely unimpressed. To them, WoW was an easy, dumbed down, casual version of games that already existed. That was the general consensus of what I was reading online, on the message boards, and even the official WoW forums, everywhere I looked. Now, I read this stuff. I thought parts of it all sounded reasonable, but also I just didn't care. Like, I thought the game looked awesome, as did all my friends, and when it launched, we played it, and pretty much didn't stop playing for about 5 years straight. As we all know by now, World of Warcraft is the game in the MMO genre that came out on top. In terms of its popularity and influence, it far exceeded every one of the MMOs that came before it. The MMOs which fans of the genre prior to WoW's launch were all saying online were just much better games.
It's incredible to go back and look at how fucking garbage these games were. This is such fucking trash. Why would anybody want to play this? It's pathetic. Compared to WoW. Obviously it was good for its time, 1998, but that was a long time ago. It was trash.
I am not saying that Diablo 4 is going to be to the ARPG genre what WoW was to MMOs. I don't think that at all. While I do feel like they have nailed combat and their implementation of this open world and social elements are really cool, something I personally enjoy. From the early testing I've done, it also doesn't seem like Blizzard is bringing much innovation or new ideas to the table, but it is still too early to fully judge the game, of course, as we have yet to play.
I would not be surprised if Diablo 4 outsells Diablo 3. I think there's a good chance that could happen.
Endgame, which is going to be one of the major things that determine long-term replayability. And maybe there are systems and features and things that they just haven't even discussed in previews, or that weren't even in the endgame test that they ran. I don't expect that to be the case, but it is still possible that there is some big reveal still yet to come for Diablo 4 that we will not see until the game officially releases.
They said that after the beta, they're going to talk about the end game, so hopefully that's going to happen.
Point in comparing it to World of Warcraft and the discussion around the game prior to release is that there is a pretty clear distinction in my eyes to the hardcore fans of an existing genre, and then maybe what Blizzard is looking to appeal to and make a game for in that wider audience. Yes,
and
they
that's
want to
smart for them to do this. This is a smart thing for them to do.
Pull in fans of ARPGs.
I think that, ironically, World of Warcraft designing content for